Hello, everybody. My name is Casey Comstock, and my research topic right now is mainly focused around the British Expeditionary Force during World War One and its command structure throughout that time frame. Now, the reason why I picked the British, or basically the British Expeditionary Force, for my topic was because in my master's program, when I was looking into my capstone and thesis projects, my instructor asked me if I spoke any other language besides English. I thought he was joking, and turned to find out he was not. And I said, no, I do not. So he goes, okay, British it is. So there's the background to why I chose the British Expeditionary Force. And I'm pretty happy that I did. My main focus for what I would like to do throughout my program here and through my dissertation is focus not only on the BEF, but also its leadership throughout the entire war. There's been a lot of misconceptions about its leader during the last 35 months of the war, which was Sir Douglas Haig. Sir Douglas Haig was a cavalry officer in the British military. He came up from the Boer War, all the way through the Russo-Japanese War, where they didn't actually fight, but was more of a observer to see what kind of new things were coming out during that time. Then, the World War One finally had broken out in 1914 in August in Europe, where a massive seven armies of the German Reich had tried to crush through Belgium in a plan called the Schieffelin Plan, basically encircle the French forces there and take France out of the war, and then, before the Russians had time to mobilize, take all their Western forces and switch them to the Eastern Front. During this time, the only thing that really stopped the Germans was obviously the French, the Belgians, but also the BAF, the British Expeditionary Force. Now, throughout the entire war, when the BEF actually first went to continental Europe, they had quite a difficult time. A lot of people think that it was the best armed, best equipped, and best trained force out there. It wasn't. It was lacking in modern equipment as far as, machine guns, big artillery, and also the airplane. There were small numbers of this type of equipment. However, it wasn't enough to sustain the massive German army who had really did their homework on what to do and how to crush through static defenses. In August 1914, the British Expeditionary Force landed in France and immediately moved over to a place called the Marne. During that time, General Haig was not in charge, or not in overall charge of the operation. It was Field Marshal John French, who was in charge of the BE at the time. Sir Douglas Haig was only a division commander at the time. Throughout the war, operations such as the Somme, which is actually a very big, controversial talk right now between, the amount of casualties and was it worth it or not. Historians at the time, immediately after the war and up until the late 40s and 50s, thought that Sir Douglas Haig, who was the mastermind behind the Somme offensive, was wrong. Countless wave after wave after wave of British forces crushed against the German lines, trying to ease the burden of the Verdun offensive that the Germans were launching during the same time. The Somme offensive was basically the main objective of the Somme offense was trying to ease that pressure of their French counterparts. Sir Douglas Haig, as I said, was a mastermind, didn't really want to attack where he attacked, but was basically forced. That's a fact that wasn't much known at the time. Everybody thought that Douglas Haig just wanted to throw, countless thousands of men into, hopefully just bloodying the Germans until, they weren't going to fight anymore. It wasn't correct. Sir Douglas Haig was actually a very good tactician on the field and knew that in order to save millions of more lives, the sacrifice of thousands was going to be needed. The old saying is that it's lonely at the top, as I put in my abstract, is that it's lonely at the top of command, which means subordinates don't understand why their superiors make the decisions they do because they don't have that expertise as their superiors do. There's a lot of research out there when it comes to the British Expeditionary Force, but there's a few out there about Douglas Haig because he is an important figure. I have a few of the the dissertations done on Sir Douglas Haig, as well. During my capstone, I was able to get a hold of a few of his journal diaries, which have brought in a huge amount of his mindset on why he did why he commanded the way he did. So to further my research, I'm looking to go more into the state of mind and the burden of command, what it's like to command at that level. Um, there's plenty, like I said, of information out there on the BEF. And as the more I dive into these dissertations and some of the other information I've already found and had, the more interesting it looks when it comes to Sir Douglas Haig and his ability to command. Thank you.